it really doesn't seem like Brighton is missing Kukurea like all that much. Like, don't get me wrong, he's great, especially like in the attack, and I'm sure that they miss like definitely aspects of his game. But as far as defensively goes, like Brighton's been great this season. So like here's the few. So honestly, so of keepers who've actually like played um 3 full games. So I'm removing Alphonse Areola and I'm removing Rodak from Fulham and Leno from Fulham because combined Leno and Rodak have seen 9 shots on target. But outside of that, so it's been Ramsdale at 6 shots on target all season. Ederson has only seen 7. Fabianski's only seen 7. Lloris has only seen 8, and Sanchez has only seen 8. So there's still a bunch of keepers who haven't even seen double digits in shots on target. The one that's been a bummer has been Allison, who has seen 10 shots on target and still let in 5, including a PK. Technically, he's made 6 saves, so he only has let in 4 shots on target because the shots on target metric doesn't count for PKs, but he did get beat on a PK, which is, what are you going to do about that? But like he's still let in 5 goals on only 10 shots on target, or I guess technically 11 with the PK. So that's not ideal to say the least. And I mean, he turns 30 in like what 40 days, something like that, like a month.
Entering his golden years of
Entering his golden
goalkeeping.
years, indeed. Also, I mean, this is just because Southampton's defense, I think, is ass. But Gavin Bazunu has not been great this year. Although, so the worst offender for sure this year, I think, I mean, he's been getting peppered, but he just doesn't make saves, is Danny Ward. Like, looking at his, so he has the highest goals allowed per 90. He's seen a decent amount of shots on target. He's seen 13, but of the 13 shots on target he's only saved 5. And I don't think like the people Leicester have been playing are just shooting fucking fireworks at him,
Unless it's Arsenal, because
I guess yeah. How many shots did Arsenal put up on? I guess yeah, Arsenal put up 7 and 4 of them went in. That's not great. But still, even
Clinical.
in the other 2 games, so against Brentford and Southampton, he saw 3 shots on target in each of those games and let in 2 in each of those games. Danny Ward has not been good this season. It's been pretty subpar for old Danny Ward. So we're gonna keep going down the line here. I'm gonna toggle the per 90 stats here because I kind of want to see like what the per 90s are. I wish I could hide, like, because technically the Rodak, Leno, and Rodak, Leno, and Areola are all technically qualified for stats, but I don't really count them, to say the least. So let's see who's getting the average shots on targets against. It's gonna be Dean Henderson. That dude, per 90, that dude sees almost 7 shots a game on target. Like, that's not even just like, screamers from some slapdick midfielder who is like, oh, like just screams over the bar like 20 yards. Like, no, these are like shots on target that he's seeing. And he has his saves per 90 is 5.6. So he's seeing 7 a game and he's saving 6 of them per game. And I mean, it's only 3 weeks in, so I mean, a lot of these numbers, especially for like Dean Henderson and like David Raya's up there too, as well as someone who's been overperforming like his like through the first 3 weeks. Like he's seen a lot of shots every week and he's saving quite a few of them. But still, it's pretty incredible. what those two guys have been able to do. And what I'm really astonished about is Elon Melier. Because dude is he's seeing about 4.5 shots a game, and he's saving 3.5 of them. Man, he's out here putting in saves. He's doing work. Because this last year,
And I
think
feel like Leeds concede like chances on the break.
yeah.
Like they put numbers forward, and so those are like, not I don't,
I know what you mean. Like, because a
save
lot
is
of
a save,
like,
a goal is a goal, but like if it's a higher pressure situation,
yeah,
he's just like really cool. I
yeah,
don't know. He's
he
so cool.
really. I think last year was a bit of a learning curve for him. But I think you're right because that is how like Jesse Marsh wants to like play Leeds. Is like they want Leeds to like you might score 3 on us, but we're gonna score 3 on you. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
that's how they sort of it seems like they attack every game. Like they're like, all right, you know what? We're putting the ball in the net. Like that's what we're doing. And so last year his like goals against, and this was in a total of 79 minutes, so that's including like tournaments and stuff. But he was, he had a save percentage of about 65 percent, and like he saw significantly more shots on target last year than they did. That was also they played about 25 more games. So let's talk about the per 90s here. So that'll be an easier way to compare these. So 2 years ago, their first year when they were in their first year in the Prem after being in the Championship, and getting promoted. So he was seeing about 5 shots on target per 90, and he was only allowing 1.5 goals. So that was also that year that Leeds were like really popping off before they sold off some people, and then like Bamford was still on that team, and they weren't getting caught on the break so badly. But he was still putting in like pretty awesome save numbers. And then last year, his that shots on target allowed went up about an entire shot, just about an entire shot, and he was letting in a little north of 2 goals per 90. So that defense, I think, was kind of fell apart. It seems like last year, and they also just seemed like he got like a case of like the yips a little bit. But this season, it seems like at least through the first 3 games, he's kind of back to that same form. While also the Leeds defense seems to have kind of shored up a little bit from last year. I think Christensen
Mm.
helps on that as well, with that new signing, as well as the new
Tyler Adams.
Tyler Adams and Aronson coming in. I mean, Aronson's kind of seems to be more of an attacking presence than Tyler Adams, but still, man.
Also Mark Roca from Bayern.
Yeah.
Just like a kind of silky Spanish DM who
Mm-hmm.
keeps the ball, and if you have the ball, it's kind of hard to get scored on.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, he didn't save a single penalty last year, but he didn't see very many. He only saw 5 last year, but didn't save a single one. The year before, he saw 9 and saved 1, which I guess you'd like to get more to that like 25% PK save rate, but PKs are also just such crapshoots. Like it's
Yeah.
hard to like extrapolate numbers out, especially when you don't see very many in a year, because they say that you want to like save 25% of the PKs as a keeper, but when you see less than 10 a year, it's kind of like that's kind of a crapshoot. Could not keep a clean sheet last year. The first year in the Prem, the Leeds kept a 31.4% clean sheet rate, where in the second year last year they kept a 13% clean sheet. They gave up a lot of goals last year. It's not ideal for sure.
Bielsa ball, baby.
Yeah. All right. Take a little bit more review. So I still think, I mean, if we're being honest, I mean, Dean Henderson has clearly been the most exciting keeper this season. Like, after that first game, I was like, oh, man, there's no way they're going to score any goals. And I mean, they still don't really score goals, to say the least. But Uh, man, their defense as well as their keeper, man, are really keeping them in games. I think Dean Henderson probably is more important to Nottingham Forest than any other keeper, at least so through the first 3 weeks, is more important to Nottingham Forest than any other keeper is to their team. I don't even. Yeah,
Pretty
I would.
pretty
He might be more important than
impressive.
like he might be more important than like certain field players are to their teams. Like it's pretty incredible what
Oh,
he's
no
been able to.
doubt.
It's pretty incredible what he's been able to do.
But I don't know, man. De Gea's getting that like 400K a week. I think
Yeah.
financially he's more important.
I mean, if you ranked it based on financial availability, yeah, definitely uh David De Gea is the most important. Man, Mark Travers, though, I keep looking at this like post shot expected goals. Mark Travers is just get Bournemouth is just getting peppered, man. Good gravy.
Yeah, it doesn't
Man.
help to play City and Arsenal in the first 3 games, but
That is true. Yeah. You got to yeah, that's true. I
one,
guess I haven't really been taking into account like all these matches played like yeah, cuz they were against Villa and then City and then Arsenal. That's two really tough games right in a row. So I'm hoping I would assume they'll bounce back. Two losses in a row of a combined 0-7 scoreline is rough. You hate to see that if you're Bournemouth. You really hate to see that. All right, what about let's talk about feet stuff. So, these are goal kicks. So goal kicks attempted, Mark Travers. That's also probably a pretty goal kicks attempted is also probably a pretty good stat to look at for like how much the other team is in your attacking third.
yeah.
Um and so it makes sense. So Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace. It's a pretty steep drop off after Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth though. Like Bournemouth is 34 attempted goal kicks, Nottingham is 33. And then it drops immediately to 26. Like 26, 25 is all like Wolves, Brentford, Man U, Tottenham, and Crystal Palace. And then yeah, Ramsdale with less than 10 goal kicks attempted this season, and he's launched almost all of them of longer than 40 yards. That's also a weird stat though, because like that kind of doesn't take into account play like teams who sometimes play out of the back from a goal kick.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like Elon Melier has like attempted what is this? 24 goal kicks and he's only hit 33% of them. So what is that? 6, 12, 18 7 14 21. So about 8 of them. So he's hit 8 of them more than 40 yards. I don't know if that's just like I don't think that's a weak foot. I think that's just playing out of the back.
Hmm. I'm curious
And
who's the highest like touches of any goalie.
touches. Do I have that stat? Let me see if I can find that stat.
It's like more of like a field player stat, but I feel like
I can do passes. I don't know if I could say touches.
yeah, I guess I mean passes is fine as well.
Well, I
So I
can
don't know
also
if they would
do
consider like picking
so
up the
number
ball.
of defensive actions outside the penalty area. That's not really touches though. So let's do passes. So right now, I think this does not include goal kicks. So that would be Raya, Henderson, Allison, then Gavin Bazunu, Jordan Pickford, Ederson, Danny Ward. So I mean, I wonder that is probably a factor of that's probably a factor of having that's like I think a lot of clearances, right? So that's just
Mm.
passes attempted. That's not passes completed. That's passes attempted. And like looking at like the average length of those attempted passes, is like David Raya's, like average length 44 yards. Dean Henderson, average length 47 yards. See, those are clearly just like defenders passing back to him or to them and them just like clearing it. You know, just
Yeah.
hoofing it out of their own third. Whereas Allison has about 95 versus like 116 and 102 attempted passes, but the average length of those passes is 28 because that's clearly Allison and Liverpool really try to play from the back a lot more, so that makes a lot more sense. And Ederson's kind of in that same wave because he's attempted 83 passes out of the back, and his average length is 29 yards. So that's a good way of kind of telling how many. Like Eduard Mendy does kind of the same thing, as well as Lloris. Like they're both hovering and like just shy of 30. Well, Lloris is a little above 30 yards. So I want to see something though. Let's kind of look at defensive actions outside of their own penalty area. So this is sort of like they call these on Football Reference. They call this sweeper statistics. So these are all like, you know, no use of hands outside of the penalty areas. And honestly, total OPA is Pickford. So Pickford is, I mean, it makes sense for someone who's like that short too and good with his feet to be kind of like playing out from the back. But it also probably, Pickford's thing is that like a lot of people are like, yeah, he like kind of plays with fire, but like also like you can't deny that he's like a good shot stopper and a good goalie, which I would agree with. But I mean, these number of actions outside the penalty area probably contribute to that narrative that he's like sort of a heart attack keeper waiting to happen because he plays so high off his line.
Yeah, it's hard to read into stats like that too, because like you could have, I don't know, like Ederson, like high in certain stats, but then also have someone like Dean Henderson, and those are teams in like insanely different
Yeah, they do significantly.
Defensive
Those are significantly different.
situations.
Dean Henderson has 4 defensive actions outside the penalty area. But you can also look at this average distance from goal in like a sweeper capacity outside the area. Well, just average distance from goal in general. And I do think this could probably help someone like kind of view like who's a little bit like quicker off their line or like, you know, holds a higher line and who's a bit more of like a goal line merchant sort of thing, like, you know, hunker down. And I wonder, I don't know if this plays into effect. So these are in defensive actions. So these are in defensive actions. So I think this doesn't count like when the ball is in the like attacking third. And like the goalkeeper's just, you know, way off his line to just be like in support of that. So the highest average distance from goal for all defensive actions is Pickford, who averages about 21 yards away from his own line. After that is Ramsdale, who's about 18 and a half, which makes sense. He plays a pretty high line in general.
2 England goalies, interesting.
Yeah, I know, that's kind of what I was thinking too. 2 England goalies. And then after that, it's David Raya.
They're trying to prove something to Gareth.
Yeah, there you go. After that is David Raya and Allison, who are both at about 16 or 17 and some change. And then there's a big kind of gap. There's a big cluster right in that 15 to 16 area of Danny Ward, Nick Pope, Emi Martinez, Hugo Lloris, and Ederson, and Dean Henderson. I wonder if Dean Henderson's also... he might just be nervous to come out because he's needed so much in net on that team. I wonder over a whole season if we see that number go up.